And we are live. So, welcome to episode 233 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got Eric from Hey Internet. Eric here. Thank you for joining me, man.
It's King Talk, man. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Yeah, brother. We were supposed to do this yesterday, but like I was saying before I went on, I got a new schedule and I haven't been managing my time very well, so I got to get better about that. And so you were cool. I said, let's kick the can. And then I didn't want to push for a Friday because it's Friday. It's Friday night. You know, people's Friday night. But then you were like, hey, you just texted me. You're like, hey, what about tomorrow? And I'm like, fuck yeah, because like after this, maybe I'll run out and grab a beer or something like that, or something. But, it's still early.
Yep.
So here we are. I was disappointed before we went on. I went to look for my copy of Different Seasons, and I can't seem to find it. And show off, bastard.
That's right. Look at that nice hardcover.
Stop it. Get out of it. So what I ended up doing right before we went on, I went on Amazon and found a first edition hardcover for $5.
Nice.
Very nice. So it's on its way. I don't know if I showed you when we get to thinner. I got a first edition hardcover used.
Yeah, I haven't seen
without the dust jacket. No dust jacket, unfortunately. But slowly, as we continue down this Stephen King path, I keep looking at my bookshelves, and there are several before and after moments in terms of my book collection. And coming back to America was one of them, because I asked some friends, because I had to leave without my stuff and have it sent for later because I was in the middle of the pandemic. So I asked them to hold my boxes and certain other movies and things like that. And they were kind enough to do so. And I said, feel free to help yourself to something. It's a consolation thank you, as my thank you. And when I got my shit back, there were like 30 books fucking short. And I'm like, fuck. It was more than that, actually. So slowly but surely, I've been replacing things, but it wasn't like some things you just don't realize are missing. And so I went to look today to grab my copy of, Different Seasons, and it's missing. I'm like, fuck. So I went on there and grabbed a copy, but I'm glad we're doing this because it's making me realize that my copies of, certain things are just coming up short.
Well, see, I lucked out. I don't know if you ever remember those old commercials of the StephenKing book club. Kind of like the Columbia House movie. That's where I got 90% of my books. Like I was in it from high school till they stopped it maybe when my daughter was born. So it's been a good 12 years, so I've had to go to Amazon or Target just to get the new ones. But yeah, 90% of my collection is nice. 90% of them are the hardcover. They're not all first editions. I don't really care. I just want the book. But it's cool. Like the Green Mile, it's all in one paperback. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's really neat. And, I got all the Dark Tower ones, and some of them are paperback, but some of them are hardcover. So
Sure.
Yeah.
It's been an enjoyable experience so far. I look forward to going on with the rest of these movies that we're going to cover, and I want to get them all in. I know I said I had plans for September. Maybe we'll do that, but we have to figure out a way to get all of these movies that we had on the list in. But I mean, it's still only the end of June. We have plenty of time.
We have plenty of time, and you know what? Sometimes summers last longer than we expect. So we'll say that. So.
Yeah. And we'll just continue. But this was something we sort of thought up on the fly last week as we were covering Salem's Lot. And we were talking about Hearts in Atlantis, maybe, or something like that. And somehow at the very end of the stream, the top of Apt Pupil came up. And we found out that it was on Tubi. And here we are, ready to discuss Bryan Singer's Apt Pupil. So if you're ready to go, shall we get it going?
Yeah, buddy.
Boogie woogie. So I've never been in a movie, or I've never watched a movie. I only saw this once, like when it first came out. So that
Mm-hmm.
means it's been like 25 years since I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking that it was a good movie. But watching it this time, I realized this may be the first time I've ever rooted for a Nazi in a fucking movie. Because Brad Renfro's character is so fucking despicable.
He is.
And just he's worse. One of the first things I wrote in my notes within the first 15 minutes is who's more evil.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's obvious that Renfro is far more evil than Ian McKellen, and Ian McKellen does a fantastic job in this.
Yeah, it's a good point, because what I was thinking is when you said that, I never actually thought of that. I consider them both evil, but if you think about it, in the context of Ian McKellen's character, he was doing what he was doing because he was taking orders back in the camp. Brad Renfro, he's doing it because he's doing it. You know what I mean?
He's
exactly.
doing it for the pleasure of it. Does Ian McKellen deserve to be as a war criminal? And so the quick summary of the movie is that a teenage boy discovers that there's a Nazi war criminal, and this is taking place in the late 90s. He's now an elderly man, played by Ian McKellen, is living in his community, hiding in plain sight. Mm-hmm. So he just openly confronts the man one day after apparently he's done all this background information. And does this character deserve to be brought to justice? Yes. Does he deserve to be exposed? Yes. Does he deserve to, face a jury of his peers and, be tried for war crimes? Absolutely. He's a Nazi. Okay. Yep. But that's not the purpose of Brad Renfro's appearance here. It's to extract and almost sort of gleefully play with all the evil that he can pull from Ian McKellen through these stories, because he happened to be one of the guards, the Nazi death camp guards, these angels of death that you hear about, that, face these war crime trials and are brought to Israel. He just wants to sort of play in the gore and the guts and the pain and the evil because he can.
He specifically tells McKellen, he says, I want to know about the stuff they won't tell me in school. And that's what's creepy. And I said it before, like you said it in one of, I think it might have been in your unboxing when I gave you that copy of Thinner. You said that Thinner, the book, was one of Stephen King's most cruel or mean. Hateful. I think Apt Pupil is probably one of his darkest, if you've ever read that novella. Because, trust me, there's a lot of differences in this one that they don't even allude to in the movie.
I haven't read it in a long time, so I'm going to have to do it again.
Okay. All right. But, and I think what helps this film is it's got a great cast with the two leads. Yeah. With Ian, it's Ian McKellen. Do we really need to go into it? And Brad Renfro, I was saying, like in our group text, I forgot how good he was because he's been gone for so long. And he died at such a young age. I think I looked, he was like 25.
25. Heroin overdose. Very sad, very tragic.
Yeah, he was in The Client with Tommy Lee Jones. He did some Disney stuff with, and that was good for what it was at the time. He was in a really controversial movie called Bully, about a group of teens that were bullied by a character played by Nick Stahl, and they get together and murder him. And then a lot of them are still in jail as of right now. And Brad is always good, or he was always good. And this is, I think, a great performance by him too.
He's very effective at making you despise him. At least that was my perspective. I despised him. Like I wanted Ian McKellen to just kill him. Like bludgeoning him with a meat cleaver or a fucking, a mallet or something.
The thing is, when you say you despised him, though, it wasn't the type of character that you despised that you wanted to turn off the movie. What I mean? He intrigues you with what is he going to do next? How is he going to try to get the upper hand? And that I thought was like the best part of this movie. How Todd always thinks he's got the upper hand, but then you got Ian McKellen just showing him, boy, you have no idea.
He plays his string out too far.
Mm-hmm.
Plays it out too far. And you're I was in it not necessarily to see what he was going to do next because I hated him from like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, and I've learned this from Rod, that means that he was doing his job.
Yes.
That means that Brad Renfro was doing his job as an actor, playing a despicable character, doing despicable things. Yeah, you're supposed to hate him. If you hate him, that means that, Renfro's doing the right thing. That he's playing it right. But I was waiting for the comeuppance, which has a sort of bittersweet sort of, I don't, the way that it unfolds. It isn't. Well, let's just get on with the movie before we get too far into it. He just wants to blackmail him, and so he just if I've taken your fingerprint. He starts talking about how, and you can tell he's a psychopath. Yeah, like he's psychotic, and he's just one of those people like Ian McKellen who's hiding in plain sight.
And I wondered this time watching, it makes me, because of how good Brad is at being, like you said, a psychopath, did he really have all that information that he was blackmailing Ian McKellen with? This watch, I think he was full of shit. You know what I mean?
I saw something once on YouTube, and I forget what it was or where it was from, but it was about psychopathy. And they were interviewing actual psychopaths that live and function in society. And so they were very frank about things. And they're like, well, yeah, I mean, I can do this. And, I struggle with, interpersonal, intimate relationships, this, that, and the other. But, I function and I go to work and, these sorts of things. And I'm in treatment and, I closely monitor myself. And, they wanted you to know that not every psychopath is Norman Bates. Right. Not every psychopath is, or has a tendency towards violence or anything like that. This guy was a little more, of the sort of almost caricature of a psychopath, blackmailing, manipulative, borderline violence. He wants to commit murder. You can see as, McKellen sort of transfers some of the evil over to him. That he wants to indulge these tendencies.
Yeah, by the end of it, the final scene with your boy Schwimmer, he enjoys that he got away with it. That look, it's just a small smirk. You know what I mean? But then when he goes back in the house, he enjoys. He knows he got away with it, and that he doesn't care. You know what I mean?
No, he kills just that bird.
Yeah.
You already see this example of cruelty to animals. That's an extremely bad sign. Something, it's indicative of something far, far deeper, far worse. He makes him, he forces Ian McKellen to wear this uniform, this Nazi uniform, forces him to march.
One of the best scenes in the whole film, because that's when it takes a turn. Because even at first, Arthur, Ian's going by the name Arthur Denker. He doesn't want to do it. He's basically saying, I'm not wearing that. You're full of shit. Leave me alone, type of thing. But then, of course,
fuck you, you're wearing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he puts it on, and then Todd is enjoying march, turn right, march, turn right.
He's
all that
enjoying
stuff.
controlling the
And I had my wife watch it because she's seen the movie before, and I said, just watch this. Watch how creepy it is. And the reason why is eventually Arthur's getting into it. He's remembering being himself on the field. And again, how great Brad Renfro was. You see that glee turn to concern, turn to fear, because he realized, oh, shit, I'm a little in over my head because Arthur's now getting into it. And when he finally stops and does that salute, the Nazi salute that Brad Renfro did not tell him to do. He just did because Arthur's back in the moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Brad Renfro's like, oh, fuck. I just unlocked something. And he doesn't know. He knows he's in over his head.
Yeah, he inadvertently reactivates the Nazi in Ian McKellen, in the
Yes.
Denker character, the
Yes.
Dussander character, because his real
Yes.
name is Dirk Kurt Dussander.
Yes.
But he's been living as this Arthur Denker in America for a long time now. And like, you get the impression like he's not a violent, like he's living this life that is far removed from the war.
He just wants to be left alone.
Yeah, he wants to be left alone. He lives a solitary life. He has a clean house. You know, he's minding his own business. But these repeated, sort of bullying and, this blackmail, he starts drinking heavily.
Yes.
He's
a chain smoker.
Yeah, he starts chain smoking. And so, it starts to turn on sort of the lizard brain inside of him. And the Nazi, this death guard, this man who is still very dangerous, has sort of been reactivated.
Oh, and he's starting to. I don't want to cut you off, but there's that scene where they're at the table, and he's, I think it was right after Todd realizes he's going to fail. He's got 2 weeks to bring his grades up. Her parents are going to be involved. He can't graduate. And Arthur walks in. He's like, you're having a bad day. Would you like to know what we did on this day? I could tell you what the soap did. And, he's got this little sing-songy voice that, he's trying to cheer him up, but he's going to describe all these evil things that he already did.
Yeah.
And again, it's a fantastic performance because as scary as Todd is, Brad Renfro, Ian is just as scary and evil in his performance.
Yeah.
But again, he's finally getting a personality after he like all this stuff has been reawoken in him. You know what I mean?
The inhibitions have sort of melted away.
Yes.
There's no longer any need for pretense anymore, which I imagine he has had to have around everyone. So maybe the pretense is who he has sort of become. The character, the person that he pretends to be is sort of who he's become. But now that that serves no purpose anymore.
Right.
Okay, fine. I'm a Nazi. Yes, I'm a death camp guard. Let me tell you about this.
Or that whole scene, what we to tell you what the soap was used for, blah blah blah, and they're just having this discussion. He's like, "Fine, how about a slice of Melba toast? Would that make you feel better?" You know what I mean? He's fucking with him as much as he was being fucked with. You know what I mean?
He is and he isn't. It reminds me of what Marty said when we did top 5 villains. When I talked about Ray Fiennes as Amund Goeth in Schindler's List.
Okay.
And he said the thing that was terrifying about Fiennes' performance is that all of the evil you've seen Schindler's List?
No, I haven't yet. It's actually on the list for this year, but you can go ahead.
I'm not going to get into any specifics, but he says that all the evil, monstrous shit that he just does in this, it's like demonic, is just monotony to him.
Yeah, it's every day.
It's monotony. He's like, Jesus Christ, like he's murdering, like committing mass murder, and his reaction is like, Jesus Christ, won't this day ever fucking end? It's just like this long day at work. And so that's sort of what I see in Ian McKellen. It's just, what's the big deal? Let's have some Melba toast. Come on, I'm going to get another bottle of whiskey out. What's the problem?
Would you like a drink too?
Yeah.
I'm underage. Milk, perhaps. He's just fucking with him. Stuff like that.
Yeah, because the boy has the upper hand, but he's not really in Ian McKellen's league. Oh. Like once the things start to balance out, and the kid is stupid enough to just keep playing the string out, and this goes on for by the time Ian McKellen plays his card, he said, almost a year has gone by.
Because it's from pretty much the beginning, maybe the first quarter of the school year to graduation.
Yeah. And so, that's good.
And it's even longer, and it's even longer in the book. In the book, it goes on for years because it's the beginning of Todd's high school career up into graduation. So it's from a freshman to senior. I won't spoil too much for you since it's been a while.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just he's in it for so long that finally Ian McKellen just says, "Look, I just stayed up one night and wrote out an entire document documenting how you've been blackmailing me over the course of a year. You turned me in, I'm going to turn you in. Well, he knew about me for over a year. He's been forcing me to do all this shit, saying he's going to turn me over to the police, to the Israelis, So this guy's no hero either. I'm just going to keep repeating your name so many times.
He just looks at Todd Bowden. Todd
Bowden.
That's all the reporters will ever hear. Todd Bowden. He knew,
And you know what I loved in this? When we got to the end of the movie, and we're just hopping and jumping around.
Sure.
I love how the Israeli guy knew.
Yeah.
He couldn't prove it.
Right. So he didn't say anything, but he knew.
He knew. It was you. It was you. Yeah, you've been his fucking account. He looked right at him, and just he let him know with his eyes. He's like, I know what you did, you little fuck.
Yep.
I just love that there was one person there, because like the guy who plays the FBI agent, he's in Terminator 2.
Yeah, he plays Miles Dyson in Terminator.
Miles Dyson, that's it. Miles Dyson. Yeah, Miles Dyson. I love Miles Dyson. He's a great he's a great sci-fi character. Very tragic, but he doesn't pick up on it. The LAPD doesn't pick on it, but that Israeli guy, he's trained for it, I think.
Oh yeah.
He just has a nose for fucking Nazis and psychopaths and monsters.
The amount of accomplices he has proven over the decades of him extraditing these criminals. He's not a dumb man, but again, you said,
he's a Nazi hunter.
Yeah, he just can't prove it, and he can't just come out and make that claim because then there's some legal stuff that Todd can throw at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he's also, he's a minor.
Yeah,
you got to be careful with it. His parents are right there, but he understands instantly that this little evil fucker is just a little, he's not become, but he sort of is a little version of Dusounder, of Denker.
Do you think Todd?
He's a little monster. He's not a Nazi, but he's a fucking monster.
Yeah. Do you think Todd knew that the Israeli agent knew? Or do you think like the Israeli agent knew that Todd was involved? Do you think Todd had any idea at all when he gave him that look? Or do you think he was just some old man looking at him weird?
No, I think he suspected.
Okay.
Because that's why he couldn't. He keeps eye contact with everybody else.
Yeah, well, he's got to be paranoid.
He can't look at the Israeli guy.
Mm-hmm.
The Israeli guy is just locks on him. Okay. And he's, and being a teacher, that's kind of something, you're just like, you can tell when a kid can't look at you.
Yeah, like, you did something wrong.
You're fucking lying to me. Like,
I got a 12-year-old at home, dude. I know that.
Yeah. I know, I know that you know that I know that you know, but you're just going to keep fucking lying to me, aren't you? Yes, you are. Okay. All right. We're going to play it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah. One of the I think the scene that surprised me about Ian McKellen, because Ian McKellen he's Ian McKellen, so he's doing a great job.
Oh yeah.
And so he plays it in a sympathetic way.
Mm-hmm.
He could have played it very flat, and but the scene where he tries, where you really know things have gone off the fucking rails with Ian McKellen, is when he tries to cook the cat.
Yes.
He tries to cook the cat in the gas fucking oven.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, what the fuck?
He was determined to get that cat in there. And this is like one of my favorite scenes is at first when Todd makes the accusations and Ian does this great imitation of a frail old man. Like, I think Ian is like 20 years younger than he's portraying in this, but he looks frail with the teeth and everything. And he's breaking down in tears. He's like, I won't let you come in here with these lies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go from that scene to where he's just trying to cook this cat. And the cat gets out and he's yelling, you motherfucker, and stuff like that. So it's a big change in attitude. And just he wanted to cook this cat. And
He
then
wants to
when
put a live cat. So we understand because this is 1998, so it's been 26 years. If you haven't seen it, it's not our fault. This is currently available on Tubi, so you can watch it right now. It's like a 2-hour movie, so it's not it's not like a quick 90-minute thing. This, that, or the other. This has got a good script. It's got good performances. It's got a story that goes somewhere. It's never slow or anything like that. But yeah. He just gets this sudden inclination to turn on his gas oven and take a live cat that comes in through his window, the neighborhood cat, and force this cat by hand through his gas oven. And you're just like, you can see the flames from the gas oven shooting and sort of sparking off the cat as it like singes its fur, and the cat scratching, trying to bite and get away from him, and finally does. And you're like, holy shit. Because Ian McKellen, up until that moment, really hasn't demonstrated any violent tendencies.
Right. He was just there to mock and scare Todd, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, now we see what's unlocked. And then my boy Elias Koteas shows up as the homeless man. And you know me, I'll watch anything with Elias in it. Whether
Same here.
You know, we discussed him. Well, the Prophecy, we discussed him in that. It was great. Even if it's something like Gattaca or Fallen, like you said, or even
Fallen for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Even the fucking Ninja Turtle movie, live action 1990. It's Elias Koteas. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I'll watch anything with that man because he can take something and then just make it better every time he's on screen.
Have you seen The Thin Red Line?
Not yet. It's one of my dad's favorites, and it's on the list.
Elias Koteas is in it for about 10 minutes. And it's a 3-hour movie, and he just steals the whole fucking movie.
He's one of the best character actors out there, and it's sad that he's more so, hey, I recognize that guy type of actor. But when he shows up, and I knew, because like I said, I read the book, I'm like, ooh, I know what's going to happen. And, Ian looks at him digging through the garbage can, and at first it's with disgust. You know what I mean? And then he's already failed with the cat. And Ian, being a homeless man, Elias being the homeless man, sees Denker walking down the street carrying a bag of groceries or something. Let me carry that. You look tired. He's going to do anything for a buck. You know what I mean? For a meal or something like that. And then he's invited into the house. Yeah. And then take a shower first. You smell awful. And
you smell like garbage.
They're having dinner, and then it's a very intense scene because Denker's walking behind Elias and he's kind of caressing the cheek and rubbing the top of his head.
You don't know if this is going to be like some, like 53rd and 3rd, like he's just picking up some guy for sex, Is he going
to do sexual favors? And the thing is, Elias says, don't be nervous. I've done this before. And then you see the knife come out.
Yeah, and it's like a long filleting knife.
Yeah, and it doesn't go the way Denker wanted it to go. He gets him, and Elias is flaying like crazy, falls down into the cellar, and Denker goes down to finish the situation, and he's starting to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about this film is, it's 2 hours long, but it's also what's going to happen next. The intensity is building and building, and the monkey wrenches in the plans just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So now he's got to call up Todd. Todd's got to lie to his parents, say that he's, I got to go read an important letter to the old man down the street that I've been helping read, for the last 6 months, and cover up a murder which hasn't been finished yet.
No.
And that's the scary part, because I think we've already seen Todd take out the pigeon with the basketball.
Yeah.
So he finally goes down and he sees Elias still alive and he beats him to death with a fucking shovel.
He wants to do that, though. Initially, he doesn't, because there's been sort of a separation between them after sort of Ian McKellen plays his hand saying, look, I've documented this. I put it in a safety deposit box. If something ever happens to me, the bank officer opens it along with a member of the IRS.
And that was a great scene. he was saying that to Todd after he gave him his milk of Melba toast, and he was going to go down into the cellar, and he was just saying, I did this and this. And you see Todd getting ready to push him down the stairs, but then Dusander says, anything could happen. I could fall down the stairs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, he knows that Todd's right behind him.
To kill him. Yeah, he wants to kill him.
Exactly. So he's smarter than he looks.
Oh, yeah, he's very fucking smart. It's just, he's been blindsided by this fucking thing. And, something like that, most people wouldn't recover from.
Right.
But, this guy, he plays the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Denker's playing Dusander, whatever you want to call him. He's playing the long game. He's been surviving. He's a survivor. He's been surviving for decades, hiding in plain sight in America. But he is a mass murderer. And so, he is. It's not going to be easy to put him down, especially by some stupid
punk
boy, who just overestimates himself, at every possible turn. Do me a favor. Carry on for a second. I've got a situation going on. I'll be like 60 seconds.
Sure. As I was saying, that's just the great thing about this film is Todd Bowden. He's very cocky. He's very confident, and he thinks he has the upper hand over Dusander. And like Mike said, Dusander's been surviving in hiding, but surviving in plain sight for since the 40s. The end of the war, and this is now taking place in the 80s, and it's just a fantastic performance. Like you think you got one up over me, boy? You don't. And that's what I really love. I'll explain it when Mike comes back. But another thing I really love is after Dusander's in the hospital, he admits to Todd that it's all bullshit. I never wrote a letter saying that you're guilty, this and that. So it's just like another ha gotcha moment. You know what I mean? Just being the real puppet master and showing Todd who's really, really in charge.
Where were you? My next door neighbor is my landlord and my oldest friend, and he also has a John Deere lawn tractor. So he comes over and mows the lawn when he mows his, and it takes like 20 minutes, one of those fucking things. Mm-hmm. But it drives the dog crazy. Mm-hmm. So I had to I heard him do it, and I'm like, fuck, I'm in the middle of a show. So I had to go over and down the windows and the shades, because otherwise the dog will go fucking berserk. So.
No, that's okay. What I was saying is I like how we were talking about how Dusander always has the upper hand. After he has the heart attack and he's in the hospital, he basically tells Todd that he's full of shit. There was no letter. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's what I love, because he's always in control. No matter what Todd thinks, he's always in control of the two of them.
They're never going to be friends.
No.
But I realized this watching it, neither of them have any friends.
I think there's a mutual respect for one another.
Yeah, there's it's not exactly a camaraderie, but it's a very close acquaintanceship.
Yes.
And so, Ian McKellen is a man in hiding, so he doesn't have any friends. There are no seniors. He's not going to, bingo night or, whatever thing. He just keeps to himself, smokes cigarettes and drinks and does whatever he does. This boy is a monster, and I think he works real hard at keeping a lid on it, and pretending to be, just an everyday person. So he doesn't really have any friends. Right. He does, but they don't clearly understand who he is.
Right. They have no idea.
Yeah, and so within a sort of fucked up structure, these two are as close to having they're like almost friends. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they're not, but they understand each other in truth. Yeah. There's no pretense with either of them. Mm-hmm. They just kind of, have this antagonistic relationship, and neither one of them really can ever really trust the other one. No. But there's no pretense there. There's no pretense there. So it's an ironic kind of thing. Hold on a second. We've got it's Patrick. What's happening, Patrick?
Hey, Patrick.
Say hello. Happy Friday there, Patrick. Mm-hmm. So this kid, his grades go to shit. because he's obsessed with, getting all the gory, disgusting details. And then I just thought it was great that Ian McKellen takes the initiative, and this was what brings in David Schwimmer as he pretends to be Schwimmer's grandfather.
Yeah. And Renfro says like he and Renfro Todd's blaming Dusander for the failing grades because he's like, all that sick shit you've been telling me, I can't sleep. Well, motherfucker, you're the one that wanted to know all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Stop coming to my fucking house. You
Exactly.
Fucking sick fucking freak. Jesus Christ.
And the look when he walks in the office, the look that Todd gives Dusander trying to, pretending to be his grandpa, and, Dusander just looks at him, oh, Todd, you're finally here type of thing. And what I love is he has no idea what's going on because you got to wait a couple minutes before David Schwimmer, who is the guidance counselor, says, your grandfather. And then he finally gets this, oh, you fucker look at his face. You know what I mean? And then when he looks right at Dusander.
You know what's funny is that when it comes to David Schwimmer, I don't like him typically. He'll never be a leading man.
Right.
But he does play some interesting character actors.
I thought he was fine here. He wasn't
He was good in this.
Yeah.
He just plays people that aren't likable.
Right.
He was great in Band of Brothers.
Okay.
Have you seen Band of Brothers?
No, my dad has, and my Whitey, my buddy Whitey, he's obsessed with Band of Brothers, and he says he hates David Schwimmer too, and he praises David in that.
It's just this one they usually plays characters you want to punch in the face.
Yeah, he has that type of face. You know what I mean?
He does.
And the caterpillar mustache he has in this movie doesn't help either.
No, not really, but this was like one of the least unlikable roles I've seen him in.
Yes, because I believed him as the guidance counselor. He wanted to help Todd. He was legit, because you worked in the school environment before. Sometimes guidance counselors, they just do this just to get the kids out of the office. You know what I mean? You could tell David Schwimmer's character actually gave a damn. He wanted Todd to be successful. He wasn't looking to cause trouble at graduation. He wanted to give his congratulations to, and say good job and introduce himself to Todd's parents and stuff like that. And then at the end, it was an oh shit moment because when he showed the newspaper, when Dusander's revealed, he was a good person because he was going to go to the authorities and tell them everything. And it wasn't for notoriety or financial gain. He was just, this is a fucked up situation.
Yeah, somebody needs to do something.
Somebody needs to know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Oh, really? Captain Sobel attempted to end his life after. Schwimmer plays a lieutenant, an officer who is the training officer for the entire group that makes up the Band of Brothers. Okay. And he's just awful. You'll have to watch it, but he's saying that the real Captain Sobel must have been alive at the time the Band of Brothers dropped. And when he saw how he was portrayed, he may have attempted to end his life. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. You wouldn't want that.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Because he's not an admirable character, but it's 50 years later, maybe, but all right. So that's not the way it worked out. That's a shame. Schwimmer, I was thinking about this when I saw him at the end, and I've had kids, because like kids nowadays, they threaten you.
Yeah.
They do that, you better, or my mom's going to come, or my dad's going to come down here and, there's going to be real, and you're just like, you're a little asshole.
Right.
And I'm like, my response basically always was in those situations, don't worry. You don't have to tell your parents. I'm going to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it, that sort of thing. It's a shame. And that's, is that the way King writes the majority of his stories?
What do you mean?
Like the bad guy gets away with it in the end. How many out of the totality would you say? A third, 25%, 50%. We know it's not 100%.
Not as much as you would think. Off the top of my head, because I won't spoil it because, like I said, you said it's been so long. Todd does not get away with it in the novella.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I'll say because,
Okay.
yeah, but
Singer did it differently.
Singer did it differently because I don't want to spoil it. He said based on the way the book ended, he thought if Todd got away with it and the way Renfro acted, you would hate him even more, and then it would open up to show just how sick and twisted he is.
I would have appreciated a comeuppance.
Yeah,
that fucking kid had it coming.
And
that kid had it coming.
I felt bad for Schwimmer because
so did I.
It's fucking.
He did the right thing.
Yeah, it's fucking 1998, so we'll go ahead and say it. He was going to reveal everything, and then he basically saying, "Oh, well, what if I say something like, my guidance counselor showed up.
Yeah,
my parents were going.
Advance at you. Yeah,
he knew my parents were gone. You wanted to shake my hand or something else. So he adds those little ticks just to demean Schwimmer, and Schwimmer's like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Say you'll help fix my grades so I can graduate.
Yeah.
You do me a favor, I do you a favor type of thing." And it was just so vile. I use that to describe in another Elias Koteas movie. Vile was Viggo Mortensen as Satan. Brad Renfro is just so vile because he's just basically standing there bouncing a basketball, playing his cards. He's like, "Don't go."
But you can tell he starts bouncing it real hard, like he's trying to key himself up.
Yeah,
he's trying to
psyching him up.
It's
like the gorilla pounding his chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like,
"You're in his territory." Yeah,
balls in your court. Do you really want to do that? Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And Schwimmer does because Todd says something. And I don't know what his exact words were, but he says, "This is something that'll stick with you for the rest of your life."
Yeah, he said, think about your son.
Your son, because
your job.
Just went through a divorce. You're lonely.
Yeah.
Is that why? But what he's saying is this will always live with you type of thing because he's accused. Let's just say he's found innocent. There's always going to be those people that said,
"Oh yeah,
still did it." So he's always going to have that to deal with as well.
Yeah, that shadow.
Yep.
That sort of asterisk by his name. It's a son of a bitch thing, man. It's a son of a bitch ending to this movie. But it's good.
Oh, and then when Dusander's about ready to get extradited.
I mean,
well, first off, I love the scene when he's caught by the roommate in the hospital.
Oh,
because it is a little over dramatic, but for me, it fit. You know what I mean? When that guy, he's such a nice guy. He's talking to Todd. Is this your grandfather? No, just an old man I know. He seems like a nice man. You know what I mean? You seem like a nice boy. And then he just went over just to go look at him because he thought he looked familiar. And then he does the stereotypical bite your hand so you don't scream. But I
love when he first wakes up. Like he goes to sleep, and then all of a sudden his eyes pop open like it connects.
He knows.
Like it fucking connects. He's like, "Holy shit!" Like, could it be? And it is. And then you see the numbers on the arm.
And then he looks at him. And he bites his hand. And he goes into the hallway, and he just collapses. And the nurse consoles him, and he's just wailing. But what I like here is Singer did the smart thing. You don't hear it. You just see it. And for me, you can feel it more that way with this guy. And then Dusander wakes up and he's fucked. He's got the 3 agents handing him his own glasses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to extradite him.
With that Israeli guy right up front.
Yep. Yeah. And they're saying, your roommate has been taken away. He's in a much more nicer room. And he's basically saying that Ian McKellen ran the camp that he lost his wife and child at. Yeah. And Dusander knows he's fucked.
Yeah.
It's all public. You got protesters and Proud Boys and skinheads, defending him. You got other people protesting, they're getting in fights, fist fights and stuff like that. And Dusander, he takes out one of the tubes and what is it? He blows air into his lungs, I think.
Something
Is what he does.
like that.
Something like that. And I feel when he is suffocating and having
Yeah.
that seizure, Ian McKellen, I feel that pain that he's going through. And then when they're going in, they get off the elevator and they're just calmly walking down the hallway. And code blue, it's a hospital, what do you expect? And then suddenly they see what room they're going into, and they're like, oh, fuck me. You know what I mean? And then they look in the room, and I'm going to ask your opinion on this. I don't know when Doosander officially died. Like, he could have been brain dead or whatever, but there is this scene before they do the paddles where
Right.
they lay him on his side, and they're staring at Doosander's face. I think Doosander's still alive looking at them. And if he didn't have that oxygen mask covering his nose, he'd be smiling to let them know that he got away with it. Do you think he was already gone by then?
No. Yes, I do. I think he was already gone.
All right.
I think he was already gone. I just think that was the way that he happened to die.
Okay.
I don't think he was still with us. It's an interesting shot because you can see, I mean, I don't know if you could see this overlay that I put in there. That's the dying shot from. It's very fixed. I mean, he clearly, summons up enough because he's very determined. I mean, he's a very determined character throughout the entirety of the movie to deny, this final justice.
Right.
That, he deserves, that he clearly deserves. And, I say that he's sort of a sympathetic character only when playing against Brad Renfro. He clearly deserves to, face justice for, what he did. He decides to self-delete before any of that that's going to happen, because he says, they're giving me a new lease on life. I could live for another 20 years. Yeah, well, it's either going to be in an Israeli prison or they're going to hang him.
Right.
I think they actually hang war criminals in Israel.
Okay.
I don't think there are any left. Everybody's dead now. I think they hang war criminals over there. So I think that's what they did with Eichmann. So he decided, that's not for him. And he checks himself out.
Yeah, it's out on his. He goes out on his own terms.
Yeah, on his own terms. On his own terms. And the boy gets away with it.
Yeah. It's one of those. It kind of reminded me of when we talked Midsommar and how much Bill hates looking at that girl smile at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You just want to walk.
Yeah, he gets validated. He sort of gets validated that, that slimy. He's not a forceful guy like Ian McKellen necessarily. He wasn't a soldier. And Ian McKellen has one of the most interesting lines, and I found this to be true if you've ever done any reading about what really happened. And there's a great book about this called Ordinary Men, about how these, I think they were German or Polish police officers ended up just being responsible. Like, they were not Nazis, they were not SS, and they just ended up being responsible for these mass murders. And how could you take regular police officers and just turn them into, werewolves? Right. And for a variety of reasons. Like, one was like, well, my friends went and I didn't want to be, thought of as, less than, and then, if they're going to share in this awful thing, then, I have to, go with them and, for, shame's sake and, all these different reasons. But he has this interesting line where he says, there was a door that was opened inside of me. And once I opened it, it can't be closed.
Right.
And so and like the boy just kind of glosses over that. He so just wants the gore. He doesn't really want the understanding because he's just a stupid, evil boy. Right. He doesn't want to really understand about the Holocaust. He just wants faces of death. That's kind of what he wants. And it's a shame because, at the end of the movie, he sort of does get validated. That's the way Singer plays it. He gets validated, that this sort of slimy, evil kind of thing works. And you're left with the impression that that's, who he's going to become. Or that's already who he is, and now as an adult, he's going to move out into the world. With this sort of mentality. You know, that
What?
he will try to, because that's what he really hates about Ian McKellen and instantly wants to kill him about. It's that he doesn't control him anymore.
Right.
He has to have that control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, you know, when you see, what was that scene in Constantine where he puts the glass over the spider?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he blows the smoke into the glass, you know, that kind of thing. You know, that's what he wants.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to control you. It's sort of like a Nazi. You know, he wants to
Yeah.
control you. He wants to make you suffer. You know, he wants to control every aspect of everything. You know, your very movements. You know, if you say march, you know, turn right, turn left. You know, he really wants that degree of control over you.
Yeah.
And so the minute Ian McKellen sort of flips it on him, he can't accept that, and he wants to kill him, but he can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's stuck with him. One thing I actually appreciated, you know, you mentioned how he wants to hear the horror stories and the gore. Bryan Singer, this is not a gory film.
No.
You know what I mean? It's all subject matter. The scene with the cat gets away.
Right.
The scene with Elias Koteas, not really bloody at all.
Right.
You know, I appreciated that, but we still got to feel like we were in the atrocities because that one scene where Todd's taking a shower in gym class. And then he imagines he's in the gas chamber with the old men. You know what I mean? It's effective.
Yeah, he sees all those old, emaciated men.
And just the use of I don't know what it is, but the use of the blue, you know, it just takes you out of that. It shows that it's not of this reality, but it is reality, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And that's what I appreciate. And I was surprised, you know, Bryan Singer, he's a Jewish man. And he was able to tackle this. I'm sure this subject was pretty rough with him, you know, to deal with. But I think he really hit a home run with it.
Yeah, I don't think it was a coincidence that David Schwimmer is Jewish.
Oh, David Schwimmer is Jewish too. Okay, I was saying
David Schwimmer is Jewish, so he manages to leverage a Jew.
Yeah,
you know, at the very end of the movie, you know, he does kind of become a Nazi. He's not targeting Jews,
right?
You know, because throughout the movie, Ian McKellen's not targeting Jews.
Right.
You know, but I don't think it was a coincidence that, they had a Jewish man playing the victim to this new sort of...
Yeah, you know, that makes sense because I just looked up to see if Bryan Singer was Jewish, and I said it was. So, now that really does make sense.
Yeah.
And I said it last week when we said we were doing this. It's always interesting to see that Ian McKellen played this, you know, Nazi war criminal in '98, but then 2 years later, he's Magneto, who survived the Holocaust.
Yeah,
and it's two different performances, and it's Bryan Singer. You know what I mean? Yeah. Bryan Singer directed them both. Bruce Davidson is in both. You know, he's the president in X-Men. He's Todd's father here, so you know it's cool that he brought those cast members back, and you know. Whatever he did in his personal life, you know, again, we separate the art from the artist, and Singer shows he can direct good fucking movies.
Well, Singer is a fantastic director. I mean, the X-Men movies, The Usual Suspects, one of the greatest noir movies of all time. Singer's a hell of a director, So I mean, you know, that's just guess what? Artists are fucked up people. You know, newsflash. They always have been, as long as they've been cutting off their ears and mailing them to women. Artists have been fucked up people. They're going to continue to be fucked up people. That's why they're not doing your fucking taxes. That's why they're not your accountant.
Right.
You know, they don't go home and mow the lawn.
Right.
You know, that's not who they are. So hold on. So Patrick here, he says X-Men had an amazing opening scene. Yes, it did.
The scene in the camp. Yep.
Yeah, which they actually brought back in first class, remember?
Yep. Yes, they did.
They brought that back in first class. And then that brought in Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
Who was, you know,
Sebastian
the
Shaw,
Dr. Mengele. Yeah, the Dr. Mengele of the camp, experimenting on people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we've hit a vein here with these Stephen King stories. Haven't had a bad time yet. Haven't watched a bad one yet. I think
even Cell had its good moments. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't think it was a terrible movie.
No,
it had holes. It had holes in it. But I think I gave it 3 stars.
We just said how great the X-Men movies are. Those fucking movies have holes in it too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, all movies do. Yeah.
I was just thinking about for some reason today. I was driving. I left for work and I went to pick up food for everybody at Wawa. I went to go grab the food for lunch, and I was thinking of that movie, that scene from X2,
Mhm.
where Wolverine's driving they're driving the kids to Bobby's house,
Yeah,
and they turn on the radio, and it's
and
like
it's
Backstreet Boys. Like,
yeah,
ah! He's like, ah!
yeah.
He just turns it right off. It's just a quick, like, second
Well,
scene.
the best part is, if you know the X-Men lore, everyone thinks Cyclops is a big fucking dork. It
Yeah.
was his car that he stole. So
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Cyclops
Okay.
had the NSYNC CD in his fucking radio. So,
Yeah, yeah. The look on fucking Hugh Jackman's like, oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
I never connected that was
Mhm.
that was Cyclops' car.
Yeah, because Wolverine's always stealing. Remember in the first movie, he stole his motorcycle. So this time he steals his car. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and some of the best X-Men films, take out Logan, because that's James Mangold, are directed by Singer. The first two, First Class, Days of Future Past is my favorite of the entire franchise. So yeah.
Did you see that Tyler Mane is coming back as Sabretooth in the Deadpool movie, Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
Always loved some Tyler Mane.
Uh,
I loved Liev Schreiber's interpretation of
I did
Sabretooth,
too.
although he didn't look anything like him. But I mean,
It was
no
supposed to be a
disrespect
younger
to
version.
no disrespect to Tyler Mane, but Liev Schreiber's like a real actor, like an
Yeah.
actor.
When you want a giant, you get Tyler. When you want an actor, you get Liev. Yeah.
Yeah, you get Liev. So I'm that's the first thing, aside from seeing Hugh Jackman again, that I've been really excited about in terms of this movie. Because, like I said, the Deadpool movies are just endless one-liners for me. Yes, I'm going to go see it.
Yeah.
But when I saw, oh shit, Tyler Mane's coming back. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of because me, I don't give a shit about spoilers, so I watch the videos and stuff. There's going to be a lot of interesting, fun cameos that have already been poked out. If you watch the Easter egg videos, but yeah, I'm looking for just a fun time with that film.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
It's a superhero movie with super X-Men, and like I said, the main reason I'm going is to see Hugh Jackman, slicing people up again in an R-rated way, like he did in Logan.
Sounds good. All right. Is there anything in this film that we have not discussed? Any points, any scenes that you would like to address?
Not really, because we mentioned the way Singer builds the tension. I love how this is a 2-hour movie. There's no drag because you're always waiting for the next thing to happen. Who has the upper hand? Who has the upper hand? Or the problem? You got a body in the. Oh, I love that shot where we don't. Again, I mentioned how Singer hides the gore. When the agents go down and they see Elias's body, we don't see what he looks like. So what did Todd do? Did he really bury him?
I had assumed that he got rid of the body. He just left it fucking down there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wipes the phone clean. Remember, you see that scene where he's wiping the blood off the receiver of the phone, and I thought he just cleaned the whole fucking house up. It turns out the dumb fuck left the body down there, and
it's because he was out of his element. I got to get this guy to the hospital. Then they show up.
No criminal mastermind.
Then mom and dad shows up and take him away.
Yeah, this is not Mads Mikkelsen playing Hannibal Lecter. This is not a criminal mastermind. This is a fucking idiot, who just happened to be able to blackmail someone. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's then get to the part in the stream, and we've been talking for almost an hour. Let's get to the point in the stream where we rate the film. This channel has a rating system that goes from 0 to 5 up by halves. So 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, all the way to 5. So 0, for example, would be I'd rather lick a rat than watch this movie again. All the way to 5, which is this is the journey, this is the destination, this is why I watch films in the first place. What would you give Bryan Singer's Apt Pupil, Eric?
I personally think this is probably the best film we've watched, in my opinion, for summer of Stephen King so far.
You like it better than The Mist?
I did. I did. And I'm going to give this a 4.5. 5, like you said, is cinema. It's not cinema, but it's really fucking close. You know what I mean? Okay. Singer is a great director.
Sure.
These two leads are fantastic actors, playing off each other really well. The subject matter, you know, I'm not a Jewish man, but it still made me uncomfortable and kind of hit
Oh
home.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just some of
yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff.
You're a human being.
Yeah, the we didn't mention the score. The score can be very intense sometimes.
Sure, sure,
Um,
sure, sure.
and again, for a 2.5 or nearly 2 hour movie, there's no lag. The villain, well, one of the villains gets away in the end, or you can kind of see that, you know, Dusender did get away, you know what I mean, on
Yeah,
his own terms.
he
You know,
cheats.
if
Yeah,
you
he cheats justice. Well,
and
he
it
cheats earthly justice. You know where
yeah,
he's going is
yeah. But
yeah.
it's been a while since I've seen this one. And when I sat down to watch this, you know, for the show, phones down, you know, kids in bed, I didn't realize how good this movie was in the overall picture. So I think well deserved 4.5.
Okay, I respect that. I am going to go with a 4.
Okay.
I think that this is clearly upper level entertainment. It's a great performance by Ian McKellen. It's a fantastic performance by Brad Renfro. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it moves quite into the 4.5 for me.
Okay.
But I'll clearly give it a 4, you know, at the top of the entertainment level there. You're right. It might be better than The Mist because it doesn't depend on any special effects.
Correct.
It's done with acting. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's probably one of the more underrated adaptations.
Mm-hmm. And
People talk
it
about
was not a hit either, I don't think.
And the 90s were just that great time where you could
Yeah.
make a movie like this and all the other movies were so fucking great. It may have been just possible to completely forget about Apt Pupil.
Yeah.
You know, the 90s were so fucking great that, you know, they were like releasing fucking 5-star movies every other week.
And then, you know what? The thing is, this came out around the time Scream hit in 96. I think Scream 2 came out in 98. You had all those,
Yeah, well.
well, for
Yeah, I understand that.
for
Yeah,
context, Mike, you
right.
know, the slasher genre was reborn. You had Tarantino movies coming out. This
Yeah,
one
yeah,
might have
yeah.
just gotten swallowed up.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Bop, I'm gonna hit you in the head with a fucking DVD case, you stupid cat. All right, so I'm not turning on the oven or anything like that.
Okay, good.
My cat's being annoying. So. Yeah, I mean, it's a great fucking movie, and it is available on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's one of the more underrated adaptations that is worth seeing. That is almost kind of a shame. You know that it's been so underrated. Nobody talks about Apt Pupil. Different seasons. Yeah, that's got
like
Rita Hayworth on the Shawshank Redemption in it.
And it's also got The Body, which is Stand By Me.
Yes.
But I'll say this: if you think the film adaptation of Apt Pupil is dark, you know, I'm gonna keep it in. I'm not gonna say anything since you just ordered it and you're gonna reread it. You haven't seen nothing yet. Some of the stuff with the.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say some of the stuff with the girlfriend is a lot different. It's not just that he can't get erect when they're making out. That scene is a rough read, and the ending is completely different as well.
What is the fourth story in that?
It is called The Breathing Method, and I honestly don't really like it.
Okay.
It's basically about a woman who is pregnant, and she is dying in childbirth. I won't say how, but she's able to keep herself alive until the birth happens.
Okay.
And I just
these are non-paranormal stories. Rita Hayworth, The Body, Apt Pupil, The Breathing Method, having nothing to do with the supernatural.
Correct.
But that's a famous collection of his.
Yeah, definitely one of his better books. I've always said I think Stephen is better with the shorter material than the longer material. Like I think his Night Shift is a fantastic collection of short stories. This is got 4 novellas, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. But his shorter novels, his shorter novels are the better ones too. Pet Sematary is very short. Christine is very short. Carrie is probably the shortest. So I think that's where his talent lies. If you want to be serious for me, Thinner is his best Bachman book, and that's very thin.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
That's good stuff. All right, plug something.
Hey, Internet Eric here is the YouTube channel. I'm still going into the Rec franchise. We had a power surge at the house a couple days ago, and for some reason, the only thing that did not survive was my Blu-ray player. So I had to order a new one. Yeah,
no.
I don't know what it was. We had surge protectors and everything. You know how you have to reset the
I'm sorry to hear that.
the sockets and everything.
Yeah.
TV works great, thank Christ. But you know, the daughter's video game system that she never plays took a shit, and then the Blu-ray player is dead. So I had to unscrew it. I took the DVD. It is what it is. It's one of those, can't explain it. It was only our fucking house too. They say they think lightning struck like our actual, you know, electric reader type of thing. You know, one of them freak accidents. But I was able to get the DVD out, order a new Blu-ray player. But once that happens, getting back on the Rec franchise, and we'll see what happened. I've just been so freaking busy with work and, you know, the situation I told you offline that's going on, and but yeah, Rec franchise, and then Quarantine 1 and 2.
You've got through Rec 3 though, right?
Yes, that video is up. That video is up. Oh,
I haven't watched it because I haven't seen the third one so long.
Yeah, because like I said before, I do spoilers. You know what I mean? I always say at the very beginning of my video, you know, I spoil the shit out of it, so watch at your own risk. And plus, if the movie's that old and you're watching a video discussing it, come on. Yeah,
get a grip. But what I'd like to do at some point is to stream again on 3 and 4.
Sure.
I like to stream on 3 and 4. So once you get yourself situated, I'm not sure what's going on next week because it's 4th of July week. It's a holiday. I might do one interview with this guy, Dave Park, who's co-host of the Team House podcast, just talking about geek stuff. But I don't think we're going to do any films. It's a holiday week.
Right. That's what you're saying.
People are going to have some time off, and, you know, it's good to have some time off. So maybe the following week, though, I think that is the week we have set up for Top 5 Heroes.
Yes, I have 4 out of 5
heroes.
written down. Yep.
Ryan's already texted me 3 times with changes.
I know.
So
wait until the last day, Ryan. Then give the final list.
I tried to. I said, if it's happening on this day, let's get around the 8th. You know, let me know.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always tell you I wait till the last minute. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to change it. I said,
just give me enough time so I can get the overlays. So I can get the overlays. So when you talk about it, I can get the photo up, and then we're good to go.
And I'll say this: I'm doing deep dives. You know what I mean? I'm not picking. I'm not doing the this guy that I'm sure
Captain America. Yeah.
But you said no superheroes either, which I'm glad. No
superheroes, one fantasy character, all genres across except for right there, because that's just lazy.
Yeah.
That's just lazy.
I've got some deep dive picks that I'm actually pretty proud of, and I'd be very surprised if someone has at least 2 of them. So.
All right, looking forward to it. All right, man. My thanks to Eric from Hey Internet, Eric here, for taking a little time on his Friday to discuss this film that we both watched.
I'm glad we did, man. It was a great fucking movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see you all in the next video. If we do not stream next week, everybody have a happy 4th of July weekend. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you all in the next one. All right, everybody. God bless you, and take care.